Welcome at a boring history for sleep. Like, comments, and subscribe.
Have you ever wondered what the Earth sounds like when it is completely alone? If you close your eyes right now and strip away the hum of modern life, the frantic glow of screens, and the rush of tomorrow, you are left with the ancient, unhurried breath of time. Tonight, we are stepping backward into that breath. We are traveling southeast, across oceans and continents, to a land where the jungle swallowed kings, where rivers carry the secrets of centuries, and where time itself seems to move just a little bit slower. Welcome to Thailand. Not the Thailand of neon lit tourist streets and roaring tuk tuks. No. Tonight, we are visiting a different Thailand. A Thailand of quiet stone ruins blanketed in green moss, of forgotten monarchs who ruled from cities of gold that are now fields of quiet grass, and of mist rolling lazily over emerald mountains. Picture, if you will, the heavy, warm air of a tropical night. The rhythmic, steady chirping of crickets outside an open wooden window. The scent of damp earth, night blooming jasmine, and ancient dust. As you settle deeper into your pillow, let your shoulders drop. Let your breathing match the cadence of my voice. You don't need to track the days, or worry about the hours. You only need to listen. For the next hour, your only job is to drift. Let us begin our journey at the very beginning. Long before maps had names, in the deep, quiet cradle of the Chao Phraya River Valley, where the earth was green, wild, and entirely undisturbed. Long before the kingdoms of Siam arose, long before the great temples were carved from stone, this land was shaped entirely by water. The Chao Phraya River, often called the River of Kings, did not just flow through the landscape, it sculpted it. Day after day, year after year, century after century, monsoon rains fed the northern mountains, sending torrents of rich, reddish-brown silt sweeping down into the central plains. Imagine standing on the banks of this river 5,000 years ago. There are no roads. There are no stone monuments. There is only an endless sea of swaying elephant grass, towering teak trees that block out the midday sun, and the heavy, humid heat that wraps around you like a warm blanket. In this primordial quiet, small groups of people began to settle. They built their homes on stilts, lifting themselves above the seasonal floods that arrived like clockwork every year. They fished in the murky, slow-moving waters. They planted rice in the wet mud, bending their backs under the heavy tropical sun. It was an existence of profound simplicity. Wake with the sun. Fish. Plant. Eat. Sleep as the massive, star-studded tropical night descends. Listen closely to the riverbank in your mind. Can you hear it? The gentle slap of water against wooden stilts. The distant, low rumble of thunder echoing across the flat plains as a late afternoon rainstorm approaches. The patter of heavy raindrops hitting broad banana leaves. Tap, tap, tap. A natural lullaby that has played out in this exact valley for millions of years. These early people left very little behind. No grand written records. No marble statues. Just fragments of pottery, half buried in the silt, and the silent, enduring rhythm of a life dictated entirely by nature. They lived quietly, and they passed into the earth quietly, leaving the valley ready for something grander. And grander it would become. But grandeur, in history, always begins with shadows. As we drift further north in our mind's eye, the flat river plains begin to lift. The earth folds upward, forming rolling hills, and then towering, mist-shrouded mountains. This is the Northern Territory, a place where the air is noticeably cooler, especially as the sun dips below the jagged peaks. Here, centuries ago, a different kind of world took shape. Picture a cool, misty morning in the 13th century. The fog is so thick you can barely see 10 feet in front of you. It clings to the dense teak forests and drapes over the wooden stockades of a fledgling settlement. This is the birthplace of the Lana Kingdom, the land of a million rice fields. A king named Mangrai looked out over these misty northern valleys and decided to build a city that would last for eternity. He called it Chiang Mai, the new city. Imagine the construction of Chiang Mai, not with the frantic noise of modern machinery, but with the slow, deliberate rhythm of human hands. Thousands of laborers working in the cool morning air, hauling red clay bricks, mixing mortar, and singing low, rhythmic work songs that drift across the valley and fade into the mountains. They dug a wide, square moat around the city to protect it, filling it with clear water that reflected the towering mountain peaks. They built thick earthen walls covered in whitewashed plaster, glowing softly in the twilight. Inside these walls, life was remarkably serene. Monks in saffron robes walked barefoot along dirt paths, their alms bowls clinking softly. The sound of bronze bells drifted from small wooden temples, calling the faithful to evening meditation as the sky turned shades of bruised purple and deep indigo. Drop your awareness into that ancient evening. The sun is setting behind Sutep Mountain. The air turns crisp. Inside a teakwood pavilion, a scholar sits by the flickering light of an oil lamp, dipping a stylus into ink, carefully inscribing Buddhist scriptures onto dried palm leaves. Scritch, scratch, scritch. The only sound in the vast, quiet night. The Lana kings loved art, poetry, and profound stillness. They built temples not to show off their power, but to capture peace. And for a long time, peace is what they had. But history, like the weather, is always shifting. Let us travel south again, back toward the center of the map, to a place whose very name means, the dawn of happiness. Sukhothai. Founded in the year 1238, Sukhothai is remembered by historians as the golden cradle of Thai civilization. But tonight, we aren't looking at dates and political treaties. We are looking at the texture of everyday life in a kingdom dedicated to tranquility. Imagine walking through Sukhothai at midday. The city is laid out with deliberate, calming symmetry. Canals, known as Salids channels, bring cool water from the hills directly into the city, feeding lotus ponds that bloom with vibrant pink and white flowers. The architecture here is distinct. Unlike the sharp, aggressive angles of European castles, Sukhothai's structures are soft, graceful, and deeply organic. The temple spires, called chedis, curve upward like opening lotus buds, pointing gently toward the heavens. The most famous king of this era was a monarch named Ramkhamhaeng. According to stone inscriptions that still survive today, he was a king who cared deeply about the comfort of his people. Legend says he placed a massive bronze bell at the gate of his palace. Any citizen who had a grievance, a dispute, or a trouble on their mind could walk up and ring the bell at any hour of the day or night, and the king himself would come out to listen. Imagine that kind of quiet accessibility. No guards blocking the way. Just a king sitting on a stone slab under the shade of a massive mango tree, listening patiently as a farmer explains why his crops failed, or a merchant talks about a lost trade route. And when the business of the day was done, the entire city settled into a profound, restorative stillness. Listen to the night sounds of Sukhothai. The gentle rustle of palm fronds in the evening breeze. The soft croak of bullfrogs in the lotus ponds. The distant, fading chant of monks reciting evening verses, their voices rising and falling in a steady, hypnotic wave. In Sukhothai, people believed that life should be lived with a gentle heart. They carved their language into smooth stone, creating an alphabet that was flowing, rounded, and easy on the eye. There were no harsh edges here. Everything was designed to invite the mind to settle, to rest, and to find contentment in the present moment. Let your own mind settle right here, floating on the lotus ponds of ancient Sukhothai. The water is calm. The air is warm. You are entirely safe, drifting deeper and deeper into relaxation. As centuries turned like the pages of a massive, leather-bound book, the center of gravity shifted once more. Further down the Chao Phraya River, a new capital rose from an island surrounded by three converging rivers. Ayutthaya. For over 400 years, Ayutthaya was one of the most dazzling, wealthy, and cosmopolitan cities on the planet. European traders who sailed halfway around the world to reach its shores wrote home in absolute awe. They called it the Venice of the East. Imagine approaching Ayutthaya by boat in the 17th century. You are gliding down a wide, majestic river. The morning mist is lifting, and suddenly, the skyline emerges before you. Hundreds of towering temple spires sheathed in pure, hammered gold pierce the horizon, glittering brilliantly in the tropical sun. The roofs of royal palaces gleam with red and green glazed tiles. Canals crisscross the entire city in place of streets, and thousands of wooden boats glide silently back and forth, laden with fragrant spices, colorful silks, and baskets of fresh tropical fruit. It was a city of immense color, sound, and movement. But even amidst the bustling trade of Portuguese merchants, Persian diplomats, and Japanese samurai who lived within its borders, Ayutthaya maintained a deep, underlying spiritual core. Picture the king of Ayutthaya during a grand royal procession. He does not ride in a carriage of iron and wood. Instead, he sits atop a magnificent, slow-moving barge carved from a single ancient teak tree, decorated with gold leaf and intricate mythological carvings. 50 oarsmen, stripped to the waist, dip their paddles into the water in absolute, hypnotic unison. Swish, drop, swish, drop. The rhythmic splashing of the water is the only sound accompanying the royal fleet as it glides past rows of weeping willows that dip their green fingers into the river. Crowds line the grassy banks, kneeling respectfully, their hands pressed together in a gesture of peaceful reverence. No one shouts. No one pushes. There is a collective mindfulness that pervades the entire empire. Yet, even the most glittering cities are vulnerable to the passage of time. Listen closely. Beneath the golden shine of Ayutthaya, a darker, quieter current is beginning to stir. Years pass. Wars are whispered about on distant borders. The climate of the region begins to shift, bringing heavy, prolonged dry seasons that crack the earth and strain the kingdom's vast networks of canals. But tonight, we do not need to worry about wars or the fall of empires. Those are the concerns of history books. Our concern right now is rest. As the sun sets over the golden spires of Ayutthaya, casting long, lazy shadows across the riverbanks, the city slows down. The gold fades to copper, then to gray, and finally into the velvet black of night. The crickets take over the soundscape. The river laps gently against the wooden piers. Take a long, slow, deep breath in, and let it all out. You have journeyed through the misty northern hills, across the calm lotus ponds of Sukhothai, and down the majestic waterways of Ayutthaya. But our journey through the quiet corridors of Thailand's past is only halfway complete. As the great golden age of Ayutthaya faded into memory, the kingdom found itself in a moment of profound transformation. The capital shifted down the river, settling into a new bend of the Chao Phraya, establishing what the world would eventually come to know as Bangkok, or Krung Thep, the City of Angels. But tonight, we are not looking at the roaring traffic or the towering modern skyscrapers of that bustling metropolis. We are stepping away from the noise entirely. We are walking down a quiet, shaded side path, away from the city lights, into the courtyard of a forest monastery. Imagine the deep, emerald green sanctuary of a Wat Pa, a forest temple. The air here is noticeably cooler. Towering dipterocarp trees stretch up toward the sky, forming a dense canopy that filters the harsh tropical sunlight into a soft, dappled green glow. The ground is covered in a thick, spongy carpet of fallen leaves that muffles every footstep. In this stillness, time doesn't just slow down, it dissolves. Picture a Buddhist monk sitting in quiet meditation beneath the sprawling roots of an ancient banyan tree. He is completely still. His breathing is deep, steady, and unhurried. Around him, the forest goes about its ancient business. A brightly colored bird flits through the branches, its wings making a soft flutter sound before fading into the foliage. A light afternoon breeze rustles the high leaves, creating a sound remarkably like ocean waves crashing softly on a distant, empty beach. Whoosh! Whoosh! This is the heart of Thai history that school textbooks often forget. Beyond the wars of kings and the shifting borders of empires, there has always been this deep, cultural commitment to inner quiet. For centuries, ordinary villagers and royal princes alike would retreat to these green sanctuaries to reset their minds, to listen to the silence, and to remember that nothing in this world is permanent. Let your own mind settle into that forest courtyard. Imagine you are sitting on a smooth, cool stone bench beneath the trees. The humidity of the day is breaking, replaced by the crisp, earthy coolness of the late afternoon. You have nothing to fix. You have nowhere else to be. Every worry you brought into this room is a leaf falling from a tree, floating gently down, and landing softly on the moss. Let them go. Watch them drift away. Now, let our minds drift further south, away from the central plains and the northern mountains, toward the long, narrow peninsula that stretches down between two great seas, the Gulf of Thailand and the Andaman Sea. Long before these southern shores were lined with beach resorts and travelers seeking the sun, they were entirely wild, remote, and solitary. Imagine sailing down this coast in a wooden junk ship 300 years ago. As you look toward the shoreline, you see massive limestone karsts, gigantic towers of ancient rock covered in thick jungle vines, rising straight out of the turquoise water like sleeping giants. Hidden between these colossal stone pillars are secluded, secret lagoons where the water is as smooth and flat as a sheet of green glass. Picture dropping anchor in one of these hidden bays. The engine of modern life is absent. There is only the gentle, rhythmic lap of tiny saltwater ripples against the wooden hull of your boat. Slosh, lap, slosh, lap. On the shore, long-tailed macaques move lazily through the mangrove branches, their rustling movements blending into the hum of cicadas. The sun begins its slow, magnificent descent into the western sea, painting the sky in soft shades of bruised lavender, dusty rose, and muted gold. The water reflects the fading colors of the sky like a mirror. Can you feel the gentle rocking of the boat? Up and down, up and down. Each sway matches the slow, deep rhythm of your own breathing. Inhale as the boat rises on the tiny swell, and exhale as it gently settles back down. The fishermen who lived along these coasts centuries ago understood a profound truth about the sea. It never hurries, yet everything is accomplished. The tide goes out, pulling away the stress of the day, washing the sandy shore clean and smooth. And then, at its own appointed hour, the tide comes back in, bringing quiet renewal. Allow the tide of history and relaxation to wash over you now. Let your feet feel heavy. Let your hands relax completely, resting open and unburdened by your sides. As our journey through the quiet history of Thailand draws toward its peaceful close, let us return one final time to the misty northern hills of Chiang Mai, to witness a tradition that has bridged centuries of human experience. It is the night of the full moon in the 12th month of the traditional lunar calendar. The air is cool, crisp, and carries the faint, sweet scent of burning sandalwood incense and damp earth. Thousands of people have gathered near the banks of a wide, quiet river. But there is no shouting, no loud music. There is only a low, collective murmur, like the sound of bees in a distant garden, and the warm, flickering glow of thousands of small oil lamps. They are preparing to release Ham Loy, paper sky lanterns. Watch closely in your mind's eye as a family gently unfolds a delicate lantern made of thin, translucent mulberry paper stretched over a light bamboo frame. A small block of fuel is attached at the base. The father lights the fuel with a match. Slowly, carefully, the trapped air inside the paper cylinder begins to warm. The lantern begins to tug gently against their hands, wanting to rise, wanting to be free. With a soft, collective breath, they let go. One by one, and then by the hundreds, these glowing paper lanterns lift off the dark earth. They drift upward into the velvet blackness of the night sky, looking like fallen stars making their way back to the heavens. Imagine standing there, your head tilted back, watching them rise. They don't shoot up like fireworks, they ascend with a slow, dignified, hypnotic grace. They move higher and higher until they are just tiny, warm amber dots against the vast, infinite expanse of the universe. With every lantern that rises, people whisper a quiet wish. They let go of old grudges, past worries, and the heavy burdens of the year that has passed. They watch them drift away into the dark, knowing that the night is vast enough to hold all of our troubles, and gentle enough to cradle our rest. The glowing lights become smaller and smaller, until they finally blend in with the real stars, high above the sleeping mountains of Thailand. The river flows on. The temples stand in their ancient, mossy grace. The jungle breathes its slow, green breath in the dark. Our journey through the whispered history of this ancient land has come to an end. We have walked the muddy, fertile banks of the Chao Phraya. We have listened to the bronze temple bells in the misty northern hills. We have floated down the lotus-choked canals of Sukhothai and watched the golden spires of Ayutthaya fade into the twilight. You have traveled across centuries of time, yet you haven't moved an inch from your bed. The room around you is dark, safe, and quiet. Let your breathing become even slower now. In and out. Feel the weight of your body sinking deeper into the mattress. Every muscle in your face is loose and soft. Your jaw is unhinged. Your forehead is smooth. The history of the world is long, heavy, and complicated, but none of that belongs to you right now. The kings have laid down their crowns. The temples have closed their doors. The rivers have found their way to the sea. And you have found your way to rest. Let go of the last remaining thought. Let it float away, like a paper lantern rising into the quiet night sky. Higher and higher, until there is only peace. Until there is only sleep. Good night.
Disclaimer: while the historical accounts detailed here are grounded in rigorous research, we have integrated AI generated imagery to provide a vivid window into the past. Please note that these visuals are intended as creative interpretation rather than precise historical documentation. Our primary objective is to offer an engaging, immersive educational journey through history.